Hi everybody, welcome to another Low on Health Rambling, where I kind of go over what I've been doing the last past day or so. Today is of course Friday, May 7th, 2010. It's around 10:58 a.m., kind of an early morning one, mainly because of I had my little interview today. So basically I just kind of did my usual bike ride, didn't really do any yard work, and went to do my interview. Don't really want to discuss too much about the interview. It was a good interview. It was actually with three other people. Usually I do one-on-ones, but it was nice, like the two supervisors of that department were also there with the HR person, which was kind of cool. Really enjoyed the interview. Good people. The company is very promising. Like I said, I don't want to mention what it is, but very good interview. And then I talked to him a little bit about the job and whatnot. It is a relatively kind of close job in retrospect. And they do have other people, of course, lined up for the position, which is good. It's always good to have competition. And they basically said they're going to be having interviews, and they will hopefully let me know, one way or another, which is always nice, on Wednesday, which is going to be next Wednesday, which is no big deal. Always happy to have a little reprieve, knowing if they are or aren't. And these people are very confident. I like them and trust them enough that they will at least call me and let me know if I didn't get the position, and maybe even tell me why I didn't get the position, just so I can work on it. But it was a good interview. Really enjoyed it. 30, 45-minute interview, nice, solid. But I can't really discuss it shit. But if you catch me on Xbox Live or you know me, you'll probably hear me talk about it to an extent. But other than that, let me just go ahead and move on to some of the stuff real quick. I do want to mention, just because I had an interview, of course, apparently the jobs are up a little bit in the country. Apparently, basically, payrolls have been expanded, which is good. Unfortunately, the jobless rate, of course, rose a little bit. Apparently, when people want to get back in the labor force, that shows that they're unemployed because they're actively looking and can't find a job. So that kind of rose a little bit. But at least the jobless rate is still not 10.1, which apparently was the high in October when I lost my job. Is actually when the jobless rate hit its all-time high, and it's been kind of ebb and flowing since then. But like I said, who knows? If I get a job, great, and that does show not necessarily that the economy is rebounding, but at least it's moving in the right direction, which is good. Also, here I want to mention I watched the movie Ed Wood, which basically talks about the famous director, writer, actor Ed Wood, basically the angry video game nerd that James Guy mentioned before on this, that did that Fireball, and he does also some other little videos. He did the Ed Woodathon, in which case he talks about all the Ed Wood films, and he mentions this one at the end, kind of as a biopic. And I'm like, you know what? It looks like a nice little movie. So basically, I watched this Ed Wood film. Stars, of course, Johnny Depp. It's a Tim Burton film, so it kind of has this little stance on it. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. It was really a kind of nice little kind of autobiography, but not really. I mean, they took some liberties here and there. But basically, it's a guy that had a determine, had a dream, and followed through it, and he didn't back down. Which it's kind of like Rudy to an extent there, which is just nice to see people stick to their guns and get their job done. Even though he has his ups and downs, he still is upbeat and optimistic and wants to get the job done, which is kind of cool. Moving on here, I want to also mention too, I've been working on my reviews, and of course I finally got around to my Yakuza 3 review, which is, of course, Yakuza 3 is probably going to be my game of the year, ironically, because Yakuza 2 was, but it definitely has the option to not be my game of the year because of basically all the cuts that were made to Yakuza 3. Basically, Sega said it's going to be a perfect one-to-one game, and they did a bunch of cuts, and it is noticeable, the cuts in the game, which is kind of disappointing, but I love the game nonetheless, and it really can't be my game of the year unless something else comes out of nowhere and wows me, which is very possible. But right now, Yakuza 3 is probably going to be it, but it can easily be kind of pushed out of its slot because of the cuts. Also here, let me just go ahead and do game FAQs, do the little poll, which I kind of like doing. How legible is your handwriting? My handwriting isn't great. I hate to say maybe it's not very, it takes some real effort to figure out. Depending, it all depends on what I'm writing down. I'm writing on my, notepad there for, like this notepad here, which I jot down all my game note reviews as I'm gaming. I can make them out, but they're kind of shorthand. But I mean, if I have to write something, I will write it legibly. In which, of course, that also almost, look at that, boom, that graph just kind of shows the basics of graphs. The middle is the most, the high and the low are the lowest, and the middle, that's just how graphs work, which is kind of cool. I mean, honestly, most people just type stuff up. Anyway, moving on, let's go ahead and discuss today's game real quick, which is going to be Space Channel 5, the special edition. This is the PS2 version. Of course, there was the Dreamcast version. I remember getting this game just because I was definitely into the basic rhythm-based games, which is kind of a precursor to most of our rhythm-based games here. Looks like it comes with the soundtrack and this two games, or the soundtrack? No, the soundtrack and the game, which is kind of cool. This was a Dreamcast game. I mean, honestly, I played this a little bit, enjoyed it, but it does get kind of too challenging. And honestly, what I liked is basically I would play this and put in the code because everybody knows I don't like playing games how they're supposed to. I would put in the code and the game would kind of, I think, play itself or play it so you can't fail, which is just kind of fun. It's a very vibrant, poppy type of world type of game, just, push the button at the right time during the music game. I kind of really enjoyed it back in the day. Debating, I'm even popping this back in just for a couple S&Gs real quick and just kind of have some fun with it later on today, which I might do. Probably won't, but I might do. But other than that, as always, I thank you guys for watching, and tomorrow I'll probably have an in-depth Halo Reach review because the playlist should be going out today, and I'll give you a full review on that. So other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.